Somewhere in Delta State, few months ago, a young man actively involved in internet fraud locally known as Yahoo attempted plugging out his own mother's eyes for ritual purposes, all in a bid to buy Mercedes-Benz within a week. This pathetic story is just one of the endless perfidies the increased indulgence of Nigerian youths in Yahoo fraud has brought to the society. There's no smoke without fire. For every action there's a cause. Thus, who do we blame? At whom do we point fingers of accusation for the increased indulgence of youth in fraud? The family, maybe for not properly and adequately training and nurturing their children, or the government for not providing a conducive environment for positivity to thrive. I am Sisi Akuma, and this is Debate Debates and Stories. Kindly sit back and enjoy the debate.
So for every element you have tiny bits, which is an atom. So the family is that atom that makes up the society. And for everything that has been happening within the society, or for every person that has defrauded anyone in the society, that person comes from a family. Okay, so you can't chiefly say the government is responsible, because it is the duty of a family to raise a child in a way that would benefit the society. So I think the family is solely responsible for whatever we are facing in our society today.
Okay, if you say the family, I want to believe that, okay, for instance, I think that should be last month, still on the internet, there was a case of a Yahoo boy who attempted plugging out his own mother's eyes for ritual purposes. At least, even if you should be a wicked person, not towards your mother. So I want to believe that despite the love and care and nurturing shown by that woman to her child, that boy still had that audacity to want to use his own mother for ritual. So I'm thinking, don't you think so that apart from beyond the family, there has to be a greater force that has actually lured, because the people we are seeing going into this act are teenagers, 15, 16, 17 years, and there are people who have not really, they don't really know much about life. So I think much more beyond this. For instance, the current economic situation in Nigeria is so harsh. Don't you think that because of the poverty, the hardship, which somehow we want to attribute to the government, don't you think the government has a stronger hand to play in the a whole lot of words? But I think his point is this, that the society is a complex structure. So the need to govern is imperative. So, and if there's nobody to hold more responsible than the leader of the system. But I think looking at both sides, the family they have their own parts to play in this, as well as the government. But our deliberation here today, we want to really know, who do we chiefly hold responsible? Now, take for instance a pastor's child. A child is born into a Christian home, or whatever religion it is, child was born into, and the child has grown up, seen his father preach, he has heard sermons, he has gone to church or the mosque as the case may be, and much has been spent. In fact, he was sent to school, and he has everything he needs. But let's say tomorrow, due to how the country is, okay, for instance, we don't have jobs. Some persons may have good intentions for themselves. It may not be as bad as they ought to be, but they have good intentions. But looking at the political climate, joblessness in society currently, right now it's so hard for you to really afford 3 square meals a day. So looking at that situation in the country, how tight things are, even our education system is bad. These days we go to school, and once you have a graduate who is done with school and there's no job, and even our courses in university, they're not practicable. They're not things that, for instance, someone studies, okay, let them not call courses, but there's some courses that they go to school and study that there's no other place you can apply them other than in an office. So, and when there are no jobs, I think that situation alone can becloud your mental sense of reasoning. So, Mr. Godfrey, who do you really think? Do you really think the government? Because if there are jobs, if people are busy, you should provide jobs, provide skill, provide loans, start up paths for youths to do something reasonable with their lives. I don't really think anybody will be thinking of something bad to do. At the same time, if the family had raised up, because I think life is all about values. For instance, no matter how bad, no matter how hungry I am, like I said, no matter how hungry the lion is, he can't eat grass. Yes. So no matter how hungry I am, I don't think I can eat human meat. So I think it's a value thing. So if a child was really, really well brought up in his family, like he was trained, and those values they come to form his personality. So I think that child as well, no matter how we didn't push the wall, I don't think that child will also indulge in Yahoo fraud. Because this
I think the government has breached the obligations, and also the word given to the people has been faulted. They have lacked the capacity to give the people good governance to all have listed previously. I get what I'm saying. We talk about social contract, the concept, the goodwill of the people. Using the youth for instance, one, the government has neglected the opinion of the youths in national and state assembly. Third, the government has refused to carry the interest of the youths alongside. We have a lot of lack of employment, lack of inadequate environmental infrastructure to enable the environment of those who have potentials naturally to carry out their activities. Also, we also have lack of, he said something, let me quote you, when you were trying to get an admission. Had it been we have a solidified educational system, I don't think we would have been defrauded.
Okay, that's my
because they have failed to give us these necessities. As my colleague said, that when a man is starving, he shouldn't just die starving. He will definitely look for a means of survival.
Okay.
Government has failed us by failing to give us good governance, and the reason why we entrust all these things to them, they have failed us. So we are now going back to maybe the brutish or nasty life. But if they can retrace it back, because to all I've said so far, the answer is inside the problem. Opposite of it, this lack of educational system. If you make the educational system okay, that somebody who went to school, like some of us trains ourselves in school. So when the society is too harsh, we actually expect us to get money from.
Especially somebody that trains himself.
Many persons
graduated, come and say, after graduating there is no work. How will he fend for himself to think of family, and people are holding him responsible in his family? How will he fend for them?
Okay, let me also come up by this. Government should also, I'm not trying to raise some solution to this. Government can also create schemes or empowerment. I have seen a situation whereby some persons went for, let me say, skill acquisition. When you are done with skill acquisition, where do you get the funding from? If I want to cite some of these things, I use the England for instance. I noticed that the government regulates some of their sports, and we know that we have up to 20 different Premier Leagues. Though I'm not a football fan, but I think I read a lot about it.
They have many divisions.
Yes, let's talk about the low division or what I talk about the Premier League that have up to 23 list of 23 players. And this list of 23 players, you will see the section of the group of doctors, nurses that will attend to these people. You will see steps of coaches. You see young boys being involved in some of these things. And we are meant to understand that if you train 12 hours per day, don't think you have the strength to go and involve yourself in naughty things. No, you will rest for the next day. But because government has failed to introduce some of these things, create enabling environment for us to unleash the potential and gift embedded on us by nature.
Okay, but are you also aware, Mr. Marvelous, that and Godfrey, that in countries like the US, because these countries are like countries that we look up to, like the developed countries we look up to, are you also aware that we have, in fact, their own criminal cases are world class? So in these countries we have everything, things that are well placed. The economy is somehow fine. They have good health systems. The education system, like in the world, I think we have the best universities abroad in the US and the UK. But we still hear of cases of serious fraud ongoing there.
And Mr. Marvin. So let's start from here.
Okay.
The government is made up of individuals.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah.
These individuals are coming from a particular family.
Families.
Am I correct?
Okay.
So, if you want to change the color of a shirt,
Okay.
a full shirt,
Okay.
and you pour, let's say you have a white shirt, and then you have a red ink, you drop it at one spot.
Okay.
That particular spot will change, right?
Yeah.
Now, when you keep dropping it at every spot of the shirt, over time, what happens? The whole shirt is saturated with the red ink, and it becomes red, right? Now, first of all, I want to look at the motives of why people go into internet fraud. Check the trend. Look at what these young boys are using the money for. Look at why they are going into Yahoo as per se.
Okay.
Because we are shouting the government, the government, the government. Let me clearly state, I will put me anywhere. The reason why people go into internet fraud is because of peer pressure.
Okay.
Leave the government out of this. Because I have a friend who is constantly showcasing dollar on his status. And I'm like, this guy is showcasing dollar. I mean, I don't even have 1K in my account. Now, you are not, and you be like, and he's doing Yahoo. I mean, this Yahoo will pay well. Now, his motive is not because he's hungry. It's not because there's no money, or it's not because he wants to feed somebody. It's because he wants to show off. Now, go to GRA by 1 a.m. in the morning. Look at what these people are using this money for. It's all for the name. I sprayed 200k last night. I sprayed 50k last night. It's all for the name, for the fame, and for the gram. Tell me how many, if it was actually because the government has done bad. So if the government has done bad and I'm doing a certain thing because the government has done bad, I'm supposed to use it to redeem other people.
Okay.
But these boys, they fraud someone and then they squander. So it's not like I'm defrauding to empower anybody, or I'm defrauding to help. You are defrauding someone and the next minute you're in the club. You are spending 200,000, they're spending 400,000, they're spending 500,000. So the motive of which these people are doing this thing is not because they are hungry.
Okay.
It's not because there is no job. It's because my friend is doing it. Okay. So when my friend is driving a Benz, I want to be like my friend. I want to drive a Benz. When my friend is balling in the club, I want to go and ball with him. Now, let's look at this scenario. We know that the government has failed. Yes, we know. But why are you not doing it? No, it's a question. No, I'm coming. It's a question. Why are you not doing Yahoo?
Okay.
Why are you not into internet fraudster? Why is he not? Why am I not? Now, because for certain reasons, the way I grew up, there are certain things. See, there was one statement my father made. Don't take what does not belong to you. See, till I die, I will never forget that statement. He will tell us every morning, you can commit any crime, but you see, do not take what does not belong to you. And that statement, it sank from my head like this till my leg. So it's all about how you were. See, there are some people that are void of peer pressure. No matter what you do around them, they will not indulge. The determining factor of how a plant would grow is dependent on the environment surrounding that plant. So if I have a plant here and where this plant is filled with stones, you don't expect that plant to grow. You have parents, you know that you are not financially buoyant. You are giving birth to 6 children. What do you expect? How will the government help you? You have people, now you see them, you give birth to 6 children, you send this one to go and hawk, you send this one to go and sell kerosene, this one is selling upper, this one is selling that. The parents has failed in their primary responsibility. Your duty as a parent is to bring in your child, and you are supposed to be responsible, 100% responsible for the upbringing of that child in terms of education, moral standards, and in his upkeep. So when a parent has failed, it's just like a child who is born into, let's say, a wealthy home.
Okay.
And then you know that if I want this bottle of water, and I tell my dad I need a bottle of water, you know it is there. Your dad can provide it. Now, the only reason why you would go out to steal a bottle of water when there's a bottle of water in the house is because your father has not taught you that stealing is not good. So when the family has failed in its primary responsibility to teach the child what is needed, it's not about coming from a Christian home or being a pastor's son or coming from a religious background. That's not. There's a difference between having a father and being raised by a father. So many parents are not part of their children's life in Africa as it states. You see children, their parents are coming back or they are running into the room. They are afraid of their father. They are afraid of their mother. So how do you communicate your fears, your worries, your pressures to your parents?
Okay, let's use it. Let's use it, Nigeria. You see, nurturing a child requires time. Are you aware? It requires time. You need to be committed to it. Like, you can't really grow a child over the phone. Like, do this. There should be that personal interaction between the father, the parent, and the child. But you see, the current situation in Nigeria, because that's I think that's the bane. Now, recently, like not just recently, people have to work like from dusk to dawn. Like, you have to double your efforts now to work. So if the government has made, if they have really made things so easier, so I think parents will have had more time with their children and train them well.
Sorry,
but because of that, there's no time for. I don't know if you get my point.
Mr. Bright.
Yeah.
When you say time,
okay,
what do you mean by time? Because if your child is as important as you deem it or you deem him fit, you would spare out as much as 20-30 minutes to talk to your child. Because most of the problems we're having in this country, let's keep the government aside, the problem we're having is parenting in this country is bad.
Mr. Chira, okay, let's take this scenario. Let's say everybody in Nigeria, let's say for instance, which is not actually practically possible. Everybody in Nigeria, we come from good homes, we are well brought up, everybody has that good moral upbringing, but yet the situation in the country.
Hold on. There's something you just said. Now let me just get to that. You said, let's assume that everybody comes from a good home. The moral standard is good. Your government won't be bad, because if the moral standard is good, those in the educational sector will not scam you. Hold on. Okay. If the moral standard is good and everybody comes from a well brought up home, the people who are training you to be of good moral standard are also of good moral standard. If I go to apply for a job, they will take me based on merit because they have good moral standards. So if you are saying that everybody is good, the society itself is filled with people who understands morality. So you won't literally be scammed.
Okay, can I say something?
Okay.
I never wanted to narrow down these debates in Nigeria precisely. But let me tell you something. The government is to be held responsible. Why? Because there is no enabling environment, as I stated earlier, no basic amenities. Now let me tell you something. We have come to a situation whereby many persons went through the 4 walls of the university. They graduated with first class, and I noticed that there are provisions for all these things. But at the point, you see the people not getting what they assured them of those who came out first class. I get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not getting those things. And these persons, now they have grown past the family level. They are nurtured from the family, according to what you said. They are nurtured from the family. Now they have grown past the family level. Now they are under the government. We have and age cycle. Now you are not thrown to the government, and when you went to the government side of it, and everything was, and you have been taught that who the person that is in charge, being the elected man, he is not better than you, he is not better than me. But by the reason of mutual agreement, it's okay, lead us and disburse this in a way it will service the need of the people. And you are harnessing it without carrying us along. What do you expect? Irrespective of, let me tell you something, there is something they say in driving. Yes, we are taught ethics in driving. But do you know that they say do not overspeed? Maybe do not overspeed is not okay when driving. Now you want to go to a place, you have been taught the moral, isn't it? Now you want to go from here to, let me say, Rumokoro, and the road is bad, and you want to arrive the place at 10 a.m. and you left your house 8 a.m. You're a good person, isn't it? Getting to Eliozu, there is traffic jam, and you are there for more than 1 hour to going to 10 o'clock. Do you think you will want to see obey, don't speed again? No, the circumstances at that point has pushed you. Why? Because there is traffic. So what I'm just trying to say in essence is that yes, your parents might have taught you the morals. What about when you are the side of government about 18 or thereabout? Because it's youth we are talking about.
So
okay. Let me
okay. Let us start with the moment.
See, I think there's something that Mr. Chora said that I find beneficial. You see, every one of us comes from a family. The government, the president, the governors, the senators. So I think if we're all like these persons who are leading us, if they were all brought up, the right values were given to them growing up as children, so I think we will not have the current economic situation we have in Nigeria, if that be his point. At the same time, let's also see it this way. You see, teenagers or young people learn from what they see. Yes. We have serious facts. Since I've been a child, we've heard several stories of political embezzlement of money. We hear of politicians embezzling money. We hear of, we keep hearing the Abacha loot year in after year. So, was it last year or last 2 years? We heard of I think it was a story of snake, python swallowing money. I don't know whether that one happens though, but we heard of that situation.
Yeah. So don't you think it should be NECO or why?
I think that should be jammed. So yeah, should be jammed. So don't you think these youths that because
they happen to jam? It happened to WAEC.
Yeah, because these youths now
whatever jam and their palliative accountability.
Whatever it was anyway. But these youths, I think by because when you say okay, since they are doing it in the political sector, our leaders are embezzling money. What is my own if I join them? Because I think they act from what they see. So, but at the same time, if our leaders were well brought up, well nurtured, we won't have this issue.
Okay, excuse me. Can I come in? Okay, sorry, please. I'm sorry. Let me come into this. Let me quote what my colleague said about if everybody in governance possess moral. Who told you that they don't have moral? They know what is good and what is bad. Greed has cost us a lot. That when they are being elected, those basic amenities I'm talking about, those enabling environment, they know it, but they refuse to give it to us. They refuse to establish this institution that will enable the graduate and the non-educated to be what brought into the system. Now let me tell you something. Governance is not by moral or non-moral. Humans know what is good and what is bad. That is why my dad often tells me that he always advises people not to teach their children bad things that is in man naturally. There are things that you are not taught by your parents, is in you, true or false.
That's true.
That is why we gave government these responsibilities. Not that we cannot do it. I told you that man was sovereign by himself, was sovereign on his own, true or false. He can fend for himself. But at the point, it's okay, let us make a collective something. They give you this concept. It is something that have to do with, I keep saying that is social contracts. Okay. Give us this. Put it in order. You also, you are a parent. Are you aware?
Before we hear you, let's look at this way. We've had cases of the government calling for amnesty. We have terrorist groups in Nigeria calling for amnesty. And if you look at the nature of these amnesty programs, they are saying that, okay, we believe that you're doing this for a certain reason, but the government is willing to reason unlike you let's say people are like who had the militant issue in Nigeria. Militants they had their reasons and causes for what they were doing. The government has I think we want to reason our life with you and see why you're doing this. So if you can come together now, okay, let's take it in 5 ways. First, the family. If your child comes home with what is not his, you know how much your child is earning, you know what he's capable of doing, and he comes home with a Benz. If the parents should encourage it, my son, you are welcome. They don't ask questions. How did you get this? They see the flamboyant lifestyle he's living. How are you affording this? And they don't ask questions. I think in that case, they are encouraging it. Now to the government. Okay. The economy is hard, but beyond that, you see, there are times we have situations of people being arrested for crimes, internet fraud. But we've also had cases we've had cases, I've not seen practically, but I've had cases when you rob the palms of these security officers, they will as well release you out back into society. So it's a two-way-sided thing. But our discussion today is, however, we want to be sure. So we can really know where to lay our weight on. Who are we blaming? The government or the family?
As I said before, I'm still blaming the government. Because they have 80% of role to play in the life of their citizens. If you check the parents, they are also responsible for the government. Like I said before, economic anarchy. Me, you, every other person that is around us, before human being can come into existence, there is a government, there is a constitution constituted by God, which is the Bible. Okay, so let's leave that Bible. Then let's form a government of our own. Let's come together. If we should live in an environment where there is no government, just imagine what will happen. Imagine what will happen then. Like now, okay, so okay, we can't live in a world because if we don't have government now, if I'm hungry, I'll come after you. I don't know if you understand me.
Okay.
Because let's set up a constitution, then place some people above us.
Okay.
They will carry out our responsibilities. 70%.
Okay. I get to Mr. Godfrey. Mr. Look at this. Look at it this way. There's a proposed belief that there will be a situation where when our values can no longer be strong enough to hold us down. That's the belief. For instance, there's the belief that somebody must default. There's the belief that things will go wrong at some point. There are things that the family can no longer handle, and that's the reason why the government was established to take care of the bigger problems in society. Because the internet fraud is not a family problem. It's affecting everybody. I'm affected. I don't know if it's
responsible for controlling the internet.
So even
I don't know the government controlling the internet.
So if you look at these things properly, I think the person who bears the greater responsibility should carry the blame.
Okay. I like this point. It's a very interesting point you have made. So there is a scenario where your personal moral standards can no longer hold, and then something superior should be able to help you.
Yes,
restrain you.
For instance, if you think of going to prison, there should be a restraint.
Yes.
But when you know that if you commit this crime and someone can come and bail out and cover the case for money.
Okay. I understand the point you just made. But now let me say something as regards to this. This is Africa.
Okay.
This is Nigeria.
Okay.
Our country, our beloved country. I read yesterday if you look at, there's a published paper called the Pandora paper.
Okay.
If you have heard of Pandora
paper,
where you have top government officials.
No, don't only even some pastors are involved.
Government officials, pastors, and influential people in societies that have had assets outside the scope of what they have proposed, secretly, because they want to evade tax or they want to conceal their wealth so that people don't really actually know what they have. Now, look at that paper very well. the number of people that are captured in that paper, or the number of government officials that are captured in that paper are majorly the whites. Check that paper very well. The whites are more captured in that paper. These are people that their economies are well structured, people that their governments are well structured. When you compare it to ours, because outside here we hear, we've not been there. I've not been in the US, I've not been in Dubai. We hear and we see that they provide social amenities for their people. Now look at the UK or the US, the United States, for example. We have almost the highest cases of drug in the UK. I want to give certain instances before I come to where I'm going to. Look at Malaysia. For instance, 95% of Nigerians, male Nigerians in that country, are into internet fraud. Now they left here. Now let me tell you something. Most of them left here under the enablement of the government. Some for studies. My cousin left Nigeria on scholarship to Malaysia to study. River State government sent over 600 people to Malaysia to study. Now, they left this country and they went to a foreign country. They were being given monthly stipends. They had accommodation. Their school fees were being paid for. And at some point, because of certain reasons, they indulged in this act. This act. Now, the government has a great role to play. I am not in any way disputing that. The government has failed us. I am not in any way disputing that fact. But what I want us to understand vividly, that the government is made up of individuals who are members of families. And that the first government is the government of a family. The government of a family is being headed by who? The father, the mother, and then you have the children who are supposedly the subjects of the government. That family is a government. These are tiny bits of government that make up the entirety of the government you are seeing. So if this tiny bit of this particular government has set up a model to secure the values of their children, I'm still saying your family has set up a platform. It's just like me. Maybe my father has set up by whatever means, set up something little as a foundation for me to move ahead in life. Your parents have set it up for you, and peradventure set it up for you. These tiny bits of government we have, there is a reformation going on in these tiny bits of government, because you cannot expect change rapidly. It doesn't work that way. Change does not occur rapidly. Change occurs from tiny bits. So you change this place, you change this place, you change this place, and then it spreads all over. So I understand totally your point that the government has a major role to play. But what I'm saying is that the foundation of a building, it's always the strongest. It needs to be the strongest, because if the foundation is not strong, whatever you are putting up is a waste of time. So when you have a solid foundation, being the first government, which is your family, it is easy. Now we are even talking about internet fraud. Let me clearly state something. Let me state it to all of us here. There are so many things the youth can do, even in this situation, to help them. Now, Bright owns a little business. I run a little business. He does something for himself. You are doing something for yourself. Don't you think that these people who are going into internet fraud, they have same opportunity to do something for themselves. There are trades to learn. There are skills to learn. There are so many things to do. You have freelancing, you have script, you have so many things, you have a lot of things you can do to make ends meet for yourself. But because we have people who have lost, they don't even know what the life is itself. Look at what these children are using this money for. It's not because they are really hungry. Okay. I'm using the money to show off. I want to drive Benz like my friends. So it's not about the government. See, Mr. Brian, let me. I just want to conclude with this statement.
Okay.
Like I earlier said, the government has a role to play. I'm not disputing that fact. But what I want each and every one of us to understand is that even the Bible says, when the foundation is faulty,
all the righteous do.
What will the righteous do?
Spare the rod and spoil the child.
So when you have, let's look at this scenario. You have children, a child of 17 years.
Okay.
You know that as a parent, you don't have even up to 500,000 in your account, and your child of 17, you know he's not working, you know he's not into business. He comes home with a phone of over 700,000. Yeah. And then you are adamant about it. Now, let's assume that there is a job on ground for that child to do at that point. You have a job that will pay him 50,000 at that point. He knows what he has done to get that phone. He will not do that job. Okay. He would rather continue in the way that he has found. So what I'm saying is, the government has a major role to play in the lives of our youth.
All right.
Yes, I understand. But the family has the first. It's like train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is. But the Bible is not stupid. And when he is old, look at that word train. Are we training? It's not about going to work, coming back and tell a child, don't do like this, don't do like that. That's not training. To train, if you see where people are, the footballers, they spend 6 hours, 12 hours, rain, sun, they are training. And you see it happening in the field, live and direct. To train is not 1 hour.
So, excuse me.
Okay. It takes a long time to train.
But the experts behind the Bible provided all necessity for humans to survive the earth. Why is it so?
Let me tell you something. Now, when God, see, there's a problem. When God created,
the role of God is also the role of the government.
When God created Adam and Eve, okay. Let me just use this now.
What did he say?
Wait now. God kept everything for them. Hold on.
For a fish to survive the water
and ate that food. Now let me. I will end. I will not say it's not now.
No, let me say something before you talk.
If today,
let me say something. Let me say something before you talk.
Okay.
You are not backing yourself. Remember what you said earlier about everybody being moral. And I told you it's not a matter of morality. They all know it, but greed will not let them create it.
What is
that? Is what is the
greed?
Are you trying to say me? Excuse me. Are you not trying to tell me that God, who was the first father to Adam and Eve, did not teach them the normal moral life? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Before he went to this greed. Okay. Are you know what I'm saying?
That's on that point. We can't really now. I like this. I like this analogy is given. Now, God is our first parent, and man deviated. We can't really throw fingers of blame at God.
No, we are not blaming God.
I think the overall thing here is this. In conclusion, the overall thing here is this. The government has, I think, from
they have 80% role on the life of the citizen of their country.
From the beginning of this debate,
that is what I'm saying.
From the beginning to the end, we've left out something that I just discovered now, and that's the individual. The individual. We see the individual has see what's happening externally isn't so important than what's happening internally. The individual has a stronger role to play.
Stronger. So it's very in our society, especially here in Nigeria, government will frustrate even if you are trying. There was a story. We are talking about about wait first. This argument, we are even making a mistake.
Okay.
We are talking about the youth.
Yeah.
It's the only youth that are under the government.
No, thank you.
Your father,
I said this thing initially. Your father, your mother,
yes,
your uncles, they are under the government. What are they not doing Yahoo?
Thank you very much. I will answer you. I will answer you well. Remember when I first told you by this that government means one. What government meant? Okay, I said that we are instituted by some persons given the veto power to carry out some necessary things for the people.
Vital things of which single individual
discharge order, justice, and regulating and making law on behalf of the people. That is what government was instituted for. Now I told you that you were talking about that we're talking about hitting the youth. Now let me take for instance, you are a father to me as a young man, and you are working in a place, and government is not really okay by stabilizing how companies or some sectors run their system, and you are retrenched from the work without paying your due this thing, and you came back home and you are frustrated. Do you think you can advise me more again as a father? What do you think I will do to the government? Will I be happy? But in some places, when they retrench you, I think they should pay your benefit, your entitlement. But here in government, there is no law. Let me tell you, when we talk about basic amenities, don't limit it to food, road, and this thing. Every day we grow. As man increases, our mentality should also increase. Create more things. Let's say, for instance, we are talking about going to school. Now, when they charge fees from school, it's not only employment. Why not? Like I know some people, they do what they call talent hunting. In some of the countries, they want to hunt you. Education is not just for you to just come out and go and work somewhere. No, you can create something. Government should do all this things, set all these things to set it down.
I feel we're missing a basic point here. There's something that we're missing a very vital point here. See, when a crime is committed, you should look at the motivation behind that crime.
Okay.
That's the vital point we are missing. Look at why this crime is being committed. At the first instance, at the incept of this internet fraud issue, yes, the government at the beginning, at the instance. But now, it's not about the government.
Yes, you see,
it's not about you have already said no. I'm saying at the beginning. No, see,
it was the government. So do you expect the thing to stop immediately?
No. I'm saying it will grow widely like that. I'm saying, wait, hold on. Listen. Now you have 1, 2, 3 persons doing this because of I couldn't feed, and let's even go and dig very well and check very well. Was it about hunger or was it about joblessness? Because we need to ask vital questions. People that are doing this, have they even looked for job and they did not see job? It's a question.
Have you went to the street to ask most of the graduates, or have you been to the school?
I have graduates that graduated many years ago.
Mm-hmm. Most
very
of them,
but why I don't want to digress, I don't want us to go into corruption. That's why I'm trying to just streamline to where we are going. Now let me tell you something, and there's something you have not. See, we're not talking about maybe bad or no bad. We are saying why they increase. Why the increase? They don't say that bad thing doesn't exist anywhere. It does. We're talking about the increase of the youth involvement.
It happened in America.
What cost is the increase now in Nigeria is much. We're talking about the high increase.
And that's why I'm telling you that the increase is not because of the government. The increase is as a result of the individuals. These children are not going into Yahoo because they are hungry or because they didn't get a job. Look at the number, look at the ages of these children. Please, people should check statistics.
There is something you said. Now let me tell you.
Check statistics of children that do Yahoo.
Sorry, Mr. Bright. There is something you said. When you were trying to cite some examples, you said that there was a woman that was selling pepper, and later she had 2 children, and they were saying in the church, if you need a child, come and let us pray for you. Now, do you know that if the government is working very well, they will stipulate a law, knowing how the economic is now. They will say, please, we don't need so number of children again. They will stipulate some laws that will tell the parents, please stop, because we have seen, we need to upgrade. Many countries have done it. Right. They see the high terrorizing of people. They say, okay, no, stop giving. But here, because there is no law, people the police officers give birth more than 10 children. Anywhere they go, they drop it. And because there is no law dropping it.
How will a normal human being?
Government need to put it.
It's not government that is causing your problem.
Right.
You know you are earning 20,000. You are giving birth to 8 children. It's the person head number.
Oh my God. Let's conclude here. Let's conclude.
In traffic act,
maybe out of the 10 children
in traffic act, there are some legal sanctions created to caution drivers. Are you aware? They created those things because they know naturally if there is no law, the people will misbehave. So they create so many things. Man naturally is hostile.
Let's conclude here.
Are you what I'm saying? So government need to streamline it.
An amazing time debating this. Our topic today has been internet fraud, the family or the government. Who do we blame? So let's have your comments in the comment section. I am right.
Join the conversation and have your say. Please drop your comments and thoughts. Kindly like and share my video as well as subscribe to my channel for better contents from me. Thanks.